Good morning and welcome to the First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, a welcoming and spiritual community. My name is Cindy Landrum and I'm the minister here at FPC. For those who are visiting us first time here at FPC, we welcome you. Please let us know who you are by posting your name in the chat, and our welcoming and membership director, Meg, will take note and wave hello to you. Myself, the minister, and our staff and our board are listed on the front page of your order of service, and the order of service can be found by going to our webpage, www.fpc-stowe-acton.org, and if you go to the left-hand column where you see the Sunday service information, there's a link to the order of service there. After the service, we invite you to stick around and join us for a conversation in breakout rooms if there are enough of us, or in the main group if there's only a few, to have a virtual coffee hour. We're online today because of a water problem here at FPC, so that's why we're starting the service a bit late as well. And I want to draw your attention to a couple of announcements. Next Sunday is Easter, and we will be doing an egg hunt after the service, so please bring your little ones for that really special time. And on Thursday evening, we are having a Maundy Thursday Vespers. That's going to be at 6 p.m. in the Fellowship Hall, I believe. Yes, because it is a potluck Vespers. And the sign up to bring something, I mean, I know potluck means potluck, but if you want to sign up in advance and let us know what you're bringing, the sign up URL is also in your order of service online. And so it's going to be a soup and salad Vespers and Maundy Thursday service, Thursday at 6 p.m., nicely nestled so that you can have dinner in between the Peace Vigil at 5 and choir rehearsal at 7. And now let us come together for a time of community, singing, and worship. These opening words are by Shari Woodbury, titled "Love is the Center and Foundation." Love is the center and foundation. Again, we reground ourselves here in our highest values. Love is the center and foundation of this faith. Love is the power that holds us together as a community. And as we enter into worship, then, let us open our hearts to the healing power of liberating love. Because love is not only something we receive, but something we practice in community. Let us fall away all that might distract us from the wholehearted practice of love, and let us be accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. As we continue to listen and learn, to act and to grow, may each unfold in wholeness, both deeply loving and deeply loved. And our chalice lighting words are by Jennifer Gracen, titled "Drawn Together." We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods, yet we are drawn together by a belief of that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world.
And class unite as equal persons in the search for beauty, truth, and right. Where is our holy rite, where a human heart a sacred torch of truth has lit by inspiration taught? Where is our Holy One? A mighty host respond. The people rise in every land to break the captive's bond. Where is our holy land within the human soul? Wherever free minds truly seek with character the goal. Where is our paradise in aspiration's sight, wherein we hope to see arise 10,000 years of right?
We're going to now sing our affirmation. Sing on.
From all that dwell below the skies, let words of love and peace arise. Let joyful songs of praise be sung through every land, by every tongue.
And as we begin, we want to acknowledge that this service is being held by a community that gathers on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We pay respect to those Indigenous people who've lost their lives in the colonization of this land, and recognize that these Indigenous tribes are still today facing violations of sovereignty, territory, and water, and recognize that this is just a first step in moving towards right relationship with Native peoples and the earth. At this time, we come to the point in our service when we share our joys and sorrows. And so I want to open the microphones for you to share yours for those who have gathered online with us today, so that we might know what's going on in this beloved community. And I'll light a candle up here. Please share your name as well as your joy or sorrow. Thank you. I light two last candles, one for those joys and sorrows that have gone unspoken, that they too are lifted up in beloved community. And feel free to share more joys and sorrows in the chat. Was there one more? Oh, okay. And then I light a candle for the cost of war and the hope for peace, that we remember that the violence that is still out there is costing lives and loves. Our words for prayer or meditation come from Julián, Jamaica, Soto, titled We Hold Hope Close. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost. That will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. May it be so. Our next hymn is Cuando, Pobre, number 1027. And Chris is again going to sing it for us. And thanks to Chris and Trevor for being willing to switch to this format on a dime. We're so glad to have you here this morning.
Cuando el pobre nada tiene, donde parte. Cuando alguien pasa sed y agua no está. Cuando el débil a su hermano fortalece. Varos mismo en nuestro mismo caminar. Varos mismo en nuestro mismo caminar. when the poor ones who have nothing still are giving, when the thirsty pass the cup water to share, when the wounded offer others strength and healing, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way. When compassion gives the suffering consolation, when expecting brings to birth hope that was lost, when we choose love, not the hatred all around us, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way.
Our reading today is our covenant. And if you were one of the people who was with us during the time when services were completely online in the pandemic, you'll remember we did lots of little different videos of members saying the covenant from different places, the woods or the beach or their living room. And I wish I had the time to have queued up one of those today. But one of the other things we did, which I really enjoyed, was have the cacophony of everybody unmuting and saying the covenant together. And so I invite you to all unmute, and let's do this. Let's have a cacophony of covenant. Love
Is the spirit of this church,
and
service is love.
This is our great
covenant,
covenant.
to dwell
together
in
in
peace,
to
seek
the truth in love,
and to help
one another.
We're going to take it.
Our plate this month is shared with UU Mass Action. Half of our plate goes to this worthy organization where they work together as a statewide advocacy network for Unitarian Universalist values. All the different churches in the state are invited to participate, and they bring our issues to the state legislature and work for change. And so I invite you to give generously as you are able. There is a link to make donations on the website, and in the order of service, I think you might also find a text number, or you can put things in the mail. We still take things that an old-fashioned snail mail way, and that address is also in your order of service. The choir was here when we got the word that the water was not working, and so Chris quickly put them up here in the pulpit area and recorded them singing today, so we're lucky to be able to bring to you our choir for our anthem today.
Day is breaking, yonder come day, oh my soul, yonder come day. Day is breaking, sun is rising in my soul. Yonder come day, day is breaking, yonder come day, oh my soul. Yonder come day, day is breaking, sun is rising in my soul. Yonder come day.
Soul.
So most years, I put up a sermon topic in the annual auction, which I did last year, where the topic is chosen by the highest bidder. And so this year, I am asked, quote, "Our church covenant says that love is the spirit of this church and calls on us to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Can we do a better job of communicating this covenant and mindset to the local community and attract more people to FPC?" So of course the answer is yes. Yes, we can. We can always do better. So I'm done, right? That's your cue to laugh, guys. So first, well, okay, that is not the whole answer. The real question really is here, how do we live out our covenant in the community, and how do we do this in a way that attracts visitors more to our doors? So first, a little on what is covenant and what are they all about. Our church covenant is the one written by James Villa Blake in 1894, and it builds a little on the history of church covenants. One of the earliest examples of church covenants is the one that was adopted by the church in Salem in 1629. And you might remember from my sermon this fall that we're connected to that church in Salem, having had a minister who served there later during the witch trials, who served us both before and after he served Salem. The Salem covenant says, "We covenant with the Lord and one with another, and do bind ourselves in the presence of God to walk together in all his ways, according as he is pleased to reveal himself unto us in his blessed word of truth." It basically boils down to, here's how we believe in God, and then here's how we act here on earth. About 2 decades later, the congregational churches all came together. FPC didn't exist yet. This is 40 years before our founding, and they created the Cambridge platform, which is really a long covenant, so long that I won't read it to you, but it notably outlines how churches should relate to each other and sets up the rules of church governance. And then in 1803, the Universalists created the Winchester profession, which again believes with what we believe about God and then goes into how we act here on earth, saying, "We believe that holiness and true happiness are inseparably connected, and that believers ought to be careful to maintain order and practice good works. For these things are good and profitable unto men." So from these 3 examples, we get that 3 things that covenant-type documents can do for us is can do for churches to set up a theological statement of belief, talk about church governance, and tell us how to build community and work with other people, practicing good works. For a more elaborate definition on what a covenant is, I turn to the Unitarian theologian James Luther Adams, who defines covenants as having 5 major ingredients. And he says, and I've cut these all short because JLA can go on, but he says this: 1, human beings, individually and collectively, become human by making commitment, by making promise. The human being as such, as Martin Buber says, is the promise-making, promise-keeping, promise-breaking, promise-renewing creature. The human being is the promise maker, the commitment maker. 2, the covenant is a covenant of being. It is a covenant with the creative, sustaining, commanding, judging, transforming powers, which may be interpreted theistically, non-theistically, humanistically. 3, the covenant is for the individual as well as the collective. We are responsible not only for individual behavior, but also for the character of society, also for the love and preservation of nature. 4th, the covenant responsibility is especially directed towards the deprived, whether these be people suffering from neglect or injustice, or those who are caught in a system that oppresses them, that suppresses their own self-determination. And 5th, the covenant includes a rule of law, but it is not fundamentally a legal covenant. It depends upon faithfulness, and faithfulness is served by loyalty, by love. Violation of the covenant is a violation of trust. What holds the world together, according to this dual covenant, then, is trustworthiness, eros, love. So, to sum that up, a covenant is a promise, and it is a promise with the ground of all being, or God, the universe, that which is most central to you. Then it is a rule of law, a statement of our trust. It is individual and communal, and specifically points us to the work of justice. With that in mind, let's take another look at our own covenant. It begins, "Love is the spirit of this church." Really, that's our statement of theology right there. Spirit comes from the root word of breath. It's the word we use for that which is beyond the simple physical, or for the supernatural, or for our ground of all being, that which is most sacred to us. And here we've said, the spirit of this church is love. The grounding of this church is in love. And then our next sentence takes us to that idea that the covenant is a rule of law. It says, service is its law. So the question here might be, service to whom or to what? I could argue that this is saying that membership here, the law of this church, is based around service to this church. It's our commitment as members that we serve the church in whatever ways we are able. Or we could also argue that it's pointing us outward. It's agreeing with James Luther Adams that a covenant fundamentally points us to being of service to the world, to those less fortunate, to those who are oppressed. I think it could mean either or both of those things. And then we start into the heart of the covenant. That's when we get to the words covenant in here. The other two pieces were like preamble. We say, this is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace. So that's telling us how we're going to live together in community and in this greater world. We are a people of peace, seeking peaceful means in how we are together. Then it says to seek the truth in love. Now this is the second time love has been mentioned, so we know it's really important. And this time it's pairing love with truth, which is really interesting. This is a fundamental statement about who we are as Unitarian Universalists, about our theology, that we are truth seekers. This is important as a statement because we say we're not a creedal church, we are a covenantal church. To ask what do Unitarian Universalists believe is the wrong question. We should ask what is Unitarian Universalism, and the answer is we're covenantal. So our covenant is about seeking the truth in love. And it's saying that we're not dispensing truth here. We're not giving you a creed, we're not giving you the answers. We are not saying we have the truth. Fundamentally, we are seeking the truth here. And then lastly, our covenant says to help one another. So that's our call to service and justice, to help one another. That means one another within this church, but it means one another in the whole world as well, in addition to dwelling in peace. So that's a pretty broad statement of our values, and it gives a lot of space for interpretation, but it does call us to be of service to the world. Now let's look back to our original question. Can we do a better job of communicating this covenant and mindset to the local community and attract more people to FPC? So in that, I focus on two main aspects of the covenant: to seek the truth in love and help one another. In other words, can we communicate to the larger community the theological openness of our faith and the ways that we are centered on justice? The answer to both, of course, is still yes, as I've already said. So let's look at each independently. In terms of justice, we've been doing a better job, I think, in the last few years of connecting with the larger community in the ways we do our justice work. Our Supporting Asylum Seekers Task Force is a great example, as it works regularly with the Acton-Stowe area partnership supporting Afghan refugees. And then we've become a regular participant for the last few years in the Bolton Pride Festival, bringing our community out there with a table and booth. We're regularly connecting with the Neshoba Area Social Justice Alliance, and our other social justice efforts are connecting with other local social justice groups outside our four walls, sometimes with groups like UU Mass Action and other statewide advocacy networks within Unitarian Universalism. So that's a great start. Letting people know, though, that we're not just a liberal Christian church involved in lots of social justice work, but letting them know that we're different structurally and theologically from what they might think of a church as is a hard thing to do, however. And here I think a lot of you churches miss a lot of little opportunities, and we're no exception. We have some things that bring people to our grounds and through our doors who don't really know us. Things like the Beer Fest, of course, is our biggest one, but also coffee houses, pie sales, rummage sales, plant sales, craftivism, concerts. And while we're good at some of those, and we're pretty good about putting out church brochures on the tables and around the place at Beer Fest, there's places where we can do more. We put brochures, I think, out on the tables at coffee houses as well. At my last church, we had a monthly forum that we co-hosted with the library. And most people who attended it, I realized after a year or so, were probably thinking this was just a library thing. There was nothing there that was telling people as they came through the door that this was also hosted by a church. So we started opening our forum with a little slideshow that basically said who we were and why we were doing this. Now, I am not saying a slideshow is the answer to everything, mind you, although I do love a good PowerPoint. But there are ways we can think about how we can market ourselves more at all these things to let people know that we're not exactly who they think we are. We were discussing this at the RE committee this past week, right, Rayla? Yeah, we were talking about things like maybe the way we market Club UU could be different by taking the UU off of it, so that people who think that they're not into churchy things might be interested and come, and then find out that this is a great opportunity for their kids. It's the irony of Unitarian Universalism that the people who are attracted to us who don't know about us are often people who think that they don't want church at all, and we need to tell them that church can be something different than what they've always thought. I would be remiss if I didn't say we have a great team that's working hard on marketing us. Our staff member, Janet, puts information out regularly, writes occasional articles about what's going on in our church. So if you Google our church name and hit the news button, you'll see that every Sunday service and many of our events are all listed on the patch, and that there's also things in the Stowe Independent and Wicked Local that come up in search results. And our communications committee is regularly updating our webpage and putting out information on a daily basis, really, on our Facebook page, creating graphics for Sunday services and all of our events. And I see our staff members and our church members are often regularly sharing those events on their own Facebook pages, which is a way that they get noticed beyond our four walls, because just putting them on our own Facebook page, only the subscribers to that page get to see them. It's when you click share that other people beyond are seeing things. But it is hard to get the word out that we're something different, because a lot of people who would be attracted to us are also the people who think that there's no such thing as church for them, or call themselves spiritual but not religious. And it is even harder for a church like FPC, as wonderful as we are, because we have an extraordinarily churchy-looking building. It's hard. It's not like Atlanta's, where it was, at least the last time I went there, I think maybe they switched buildings since then, it was a theater in the round. Or the Athens, Georgia church has a glass pyramid on the top of it. Or Birmingham, Michigan, where I grew up, has a sort of modular Mondrian look to its buildings. Or Madison, Wisconsin, where it's a Frank Lloyd Wright building. Or Rochester, New York, where the building is by a famous architect, Louis Kahn, and is this gray concrete block of a space. Or that church in, is it Hartford, that is like, looks like a circus tent or something? Yes, Rayla's nodding yes. Our building, and indeed our name, First Parish Church, tell the casual viewer that we are a very, very traditional churchy church. That's the message that we put out there. And I say that with love, because I love this gorgeous and hugely functional space, and I am not asking us to switch buildings or go through a name change. But that means we will have to work harder, because it's an easier job to tell the community you're something different when your name is the People's Society and your building looks like a piece of modern art. So that means we have to work harder here in New England when we're on the town common to say, we're something different than what you think. Our banner out front proclaiming Black Lives Matter is a start, and our rainbow ribbon across the wayside pulpit also helps us do this work. But there's always going to be this challenge of how to get the word out there about what the heck Unitarian Universalism really is. So the answer is, that comes back to you. Because the number one reason that I've heard people say when they come visit this church, anecdotally, is that they are local to here and they thought they'd check us out. But you know what I don't hear from visitors all that often is, my friend who is a member invited me. But we know in church life and in research that the number one reason that people do go visit a church more broadly is that someone they know asked them, told them about it, invited them. And this is where some of us introverted UUs have a big challenge. So, say you're involved in a local theater production filled with artsy and liberal and funky people, and you could just tell some of them about your church and maybe something theatrical that's going on here. Say you're involved in a local conservation group working on greening the community. Tell some of them there about this church and our Net Zero campaign. Say you're involved in a local justice group. Tell them about this church and the work we're doing for justice. Are you in a book club where you're reading science fiction? Maybe just drop them a word about, wow, my minister would love this book because she's a real nerd. In a community choir, maybe one that even meets here in this building, mention to them how much they might love singing with the fabulous Chris Hosfeld and how amazing our pianist Trevor Berens is. And are you someone with kids and you're hanging out talking with other parents on the playground? Mention the fabulous opportunity for a night out that kids, a night out without kids that is Club UU, and invite them to go to dinner with you while you drop your kids off here together, and then over dinner, tell them more about the church. In an art group, have a friend who is an artist, apologize to them for not inviting them to last night's gallery event and tell them how much they would have loved it, and that it was also an event that reflected our values in so many ways. This is the tried and true method of growing a church. It's what works best. It's one part to live out our mission and covenant, and it's another thing to get that message out there to the people who would really love to hear it. Which is not to say that there are not more innovative things we can do as well. I was talking with a member just last night about how we don't have a church Instagram page, and we really could do one without too much trouble, and in fact, we may be starting one up soon after that conversation. We also don't ever financially boost our Facebook page, and we could throw a little money to that and see our events, get our events seen by more people in the community from time to time. We could form a team of support under Janet's position and get them to get even more things into the news. And our board is looking at forming maybe, doing some research into outreach and thinking about things we can do and looking into maybe forming a specific outreach committee. So if you're interested in outreach in particular, please reach out to Brendan, who will help you get involved with that when we're ready to go. There's all sorts of things we can do. The staff here, our team has been focused on Beer Fest in particular and thinking about things we can do at Beer Fest that support our values, like having coasters on all the tables that advertise our church, creating a specific, probably a music event that's going to happen shortly after Beer Fest that might draw those people back over to our church again, and holding sales, supporting things that advertise our values at the church to raise money for religious education, but also to promote who we are. That's just Beer Fest that we're thinking about, not even the rest of the year yet, and there's a lot of opportunity there to promote ourselves more in the community if we just get energized around that idea. In sum, our covenant tells us, love is the spirit of this church and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And there is a wide world out there that would enjoy living this covenant with us, and it's our job to reach out to it and do what our covenant calls us to do. May it be so. Our closing hymn is number 1028, The Fire of Commitment, if you have a hymnal at home, but the words are also in the PowerPoint on your screens, and Chris is going to sing for us again.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirit into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Our words of benediction come from the Reverend Theodore Parker. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. Peace be with you till we meet